The door said welcome before she touched it. Not the creak of the hinges, though those were bad enough. Iron grinding against iron in the wet autumn air. A voice, soft and close, like breath against her ear canal. "Welcome home, Amelia." She spun around. The lane behind her was empty, just puddles and the darkening tree-line. She turned her flashlight on the greenhouse interior, a cathedral of cracked glass and strangling vines, every plant fighting every other plant for the last of the light. She stepped inside. The voice came again almost immediately. "Follow the scent of the blooming orchids." She almost laughed, because she could smell them. That was the unsettling part. Rich and faintly rotten, vanilla cut with something fungal. She was a botanist. She knew what orchids smelled like in decay, and these smelled alive, which meant someone was tending this place, or something was still growing here without any help at all. She moved deeper, her boots crunching on dead glass and brittle stem, following the smell without deciding to. The notes were scratched directly into the glass panes, not written on paper and stuck there, scratched, with something sharp and deliberate. She held the flashlight close. Botanical Latin mixed with plain English. Cortisol response elevated. Subject shows aversion to room C. Then below it, in smaller, tighter lettering, "She will come back. E. She always comes back. She. Her." The pronoun sat in her chest wrong. There were diagrams too, floor plans of the greenhouse itself, with one room circled in the northeast corner, circled so many times the glass had nearly cracked. The circled room was real. She found it behind a collapsed shelf of terracotta pots, all of them shattered, soil spread across the stone floor like something had fallen or been knocked. The door was unlocked. Inside, on a potting bench cleared of everything else, sat a logbook with her father's name on the cover. Asterisk Dr. R. Gray. Silver Mist Station. 1971, 1979. Asterisk She picked it up with her four-fingered left hand, that old absence of familiar weight, and opened to the first page. His handwriting was careful and small, and completely without warmth. The experiments were described in the dry language of a man who believed precision was the same as innocence. Isolation trials, sensory layering, auditory anchoring is term for playing specific sounds to specific subjects at specific stress thresholds until the sound itself became the trigger. The subjects were listed by initial only. One set of initials appeared more than all the others, beginning in 1974, when that subject would have been 7 years old. E.g., she read the initials 3 times. She looked at the stump where her left ring finger used to be. She kept reading. The voice stopped. Not gradually, just gone, like a switch thrown. The silence was worse. She noticed the door at the back of the room then, because silence has a way of making you look. Behind it, a table, a reel-to-reel machine, a cassette player, cables gone brittle with age. And on the shelf above, arranged in a row with the precision of a man who trusted systems more than people, cassette tapes in clear plastic cases. Each one labeled in the same small handwriting. Each label read the same thing, Amelia. She pressed play on the machine, already loaded. 3 seconds of hiss. Then her own voice. Unmistakably hers, the same flat vowels, the same slight catch before an H. Whispering. Asterisk welcome home, Amelia. Follow the scent of the blooming orchids. Asterisk she pulled her hand back from the machine as if it had burned her. The tape kept going. More phrases. Every phrase she'd heard tonight. In the exact sequence she'd heard them, recorded and waiting here in the dark long before she'd ever decided to visit this place. Someone had known she was coming, or had made sure she would. The memories didn't return cleanly. They came in textures first. Cold stone floor, ammonia, and overripe fruit. Her father's voice, his real voice, not the tape, saying hold still in the tone people use when they mean I don't care if it hurts. Then the image, the pruning shears, the logbook open on the bench beside her, her father writing while she cried, documenting it. The finger had not been an accident. It had been a data point, trauma induction, the logbook would probably call it. She hadn't looked that far ahead. She didn't need to now. She went back to the logbook and found the entry dated the day she'd lost the finger. He had written 4 pages. His conclusion, asterisk subject response confirms hypothesis. Localized physical trauma, paired with auditory anchor, produces reliable memory suppression when followed by community-reinforced narrative, asterisk community-reinforced. The village. The doctor who'd told her it was a gardening accident. The neighbors who'd never asked. Her mother, who'd moved them away and never spoken of Silver Mist again. Not a secret kept by one man. A secret kept by everyone who'd needed the greenhouse to simply stop existing. She stood in that small room and understood that her career, her love of plants, her compulsive need to name and classify and understand growing things, had been installed in her like a program. She'd been brought back to Silver Mist tonight by a voice she believed was instinct or haunting or grief. It was a tape. The tape was triggered by what? A transmitter somewhere in the building, activated by her presence, her weight on the gravel, a pressure plate. Her father had built a machine to make sure that if she ever came close to remembering, the conditioning would reset her. She pulled the cassette tapes from the shelf one by one and dropped them on the stone floor and stepped on them. The plastic cracked in the quiet. She unspooled the reel-to-reel by hand, pulling the tape out in long brown loops. She was methodical about it. Calm in the way you go calm when the alternative is something you can't come back from. She was nearly done when the cassette player, still plugged into some live socket that had no right to still be live, clicked on by itself. Her own voice, from the last tape she hadn't reached. The experiment is not over, Amelia. She came out through the front door into the drizzle and didn't stop walking until the greenhouse was 20 yards behind her. Then she stopped. She turned around. The building was just barely visible in the dark, glass and iron and 40 years of overgrowth, holding its shape out of stubbornness. She was a botanist. She knew that some root systems survive the death of every visible part of the plant. They go underground and they wait. She touched the place on her left hand where the finger wasn't. The voice was gone, but she understood now that gone and over are not the same thing.